The total crypto market cap has gone up, rocketed up from $140 billion to $170 billion. But a lot of people out there are still skeptical. They say the market is manipulated, that it's going to crash, that it's a dead cat and bounce. Other people look at those people and say, look, people are wary. People out there still aren't familiar with market cycles, and disbelief is a key part in a market cycle. So how can you benefit from others' skepticism? Let's talk about it.
Lock your wallets, take your profits.
Welcome to Cryptonomics, Principles of Cryptocurrency and Investing. Thanks for pressing like and pressing subscribe, checking out the description, connecting with me on all social media, being a crypto bro, and especially leaving comments like on YouTube, on Facebook, on Steemit especially. It's great to have a discussion there. It's always respectful. So, people are wary. Here are some comments I've seen on Twitter recently. Bitcoin was manipulated to $20,000 and heisted back down to 3,500 in 18 months. Congratulations for bouncing back to $5,000. Ha ha ha. There are lesser fools everywhere. And another one. Wow, this thread is the example of fools who have invested and still expecting big return for a toy money. And another one. Dead cat bounce. That's all it says. A few months ago, I was in a hostel. I met a Bolivian fellow, and I told him I had this channel talking about cryptocurrency, and he said, yeah, Bitcoin, see, isn't it a pyramid scheme? Then I met a young lady from South Korea, and she said to me, yes, Bitcoin, isn't it a fake? So people out there are skeptical. People are wary. And actually, I like it when people are wary. I'd much prefer them to be wary than to be climbing over each other's own grandmothers to try to get some Bitcoin. Because that's when you know that the market is overheated and people are just worked up into a frenzy. Irrational exuberance. There's a really important phrase. If you haven't memorized this by yet, you need to repeat it over and over. It's this. Be greedy when others are fearful, and be fearful when others are greedy. Think back, if you can remember, all the way to the first quarter of 2018. A lot of people, when a little rally in Bitcoin started, they jumped on social media and they say, is this it? Is it back? Is this the return of the Bitcoin cyber Christ? And of course it wasn't. The rally quickly fizzled out and drooped down, looking pretty sad, like a sad panda.
And when one little panda puts his furry little willy in another panda's ear, that makes me a very sad panda.
Eventually, those people stopped posting. A lot of the Facebook crypto groups that I'm in got really quiet, like dead, like tumbleweed. Then, in the last quarter of 2018, people started posting again. Some of these people apparently just stuck around in these crypto groups and still stick around just to let everybody know how little they believe in cryptocurrency. Now with this recent rally, it seems to be stepping up a notch. There's more people out there saying that this rally is false, it's nonsense, it's not going to be sustained. So this is funny. The previous rallies had that hype around them, they had the hope around them, but they didn't last. Now, Bitcoin is rallying and people are skeptical, and that tells me that there's more pushing this rally than just hype and hope. There's probably something more substantial underneath the surface. There's another phrase which is really important in markets, and it's kind of a joke among people who've been in markets for a long time. The phrase is, it's different this time. And when people say that, you need to start looking at your portfolio and wondering if you're overexposed to the market. Wondering if the market is overbought. Because it's different this time. That's something people say when they believe that the market is just going to keep going up forever. Part of the reason this phrase is so insidious is because it's kind of true. Every time, it is a little different. Every time there is something a bit new, but it's not different in the way people think. So there are things that stay the same and there are things that change every time. Let's talk about a couple of those things, which in some ways are constant and in some ways are changing. Let's talk about access to cryptocurrency, and let's talk about the halvening. When I first bought Bitcoin, I had to go onto PayPal, deposit some Australian dollars, convert them to US dollars, send them to Virex, an exchange, convert the dollars to Linden dollars, the currency of Second Life, and then finally buy Bitcoin. And in the process, I spent about 20% on commissions. The next time I bought Bitcoin, I remember I deposited onto Skrill. They probably charged me like 2.5% just for the deposit, and then I could pay the trading fees as well. Eventually, I could just walk into the National Australia Bank and hand them some $100 in cash and deposit it straight into my CoinJar account. In the past couple of years, people have been able to go on a site like CoinMama and just buy straight with their credit card. Then there are decentralized exchanges such as Bisq, so you can download the program and trade with people in your country, even if cryptocurrency is illegal in that country. So we're likely to see this trend continue. It used to be the hugest bottleneck for trying to get into the cryptocurrency market. You just couldn't find a way to put your money inside. But now there are more and more ways for people to do that. And that means the next time the cycle rolls around, more and more people are probably going to be putting money in, either as speculators or people who find a practical use for it. Now, the halvening. If you don't know, halvening is when Bitcoin halves its rewards for the miners every 4 years. The first time it happened, people weren't really anticipating it and weren't thinking too much in terms of supply and demand, so they didn't think to put in money before the halvening and take advantage. So the price just rocketed up pretty soon after the halvening. The second time it happened, people were a bit more savvy. They saw what was going to happen with the supply and the demand, and they realized about 3 to 6 months before and started buying, and the price went up a bit. But it's hard to take account for how much those rewards affect the market when miners are selling millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin every day and people have to keep buying in. So what happened? 3 to 6 months after the halvening, the price started going up once again. And that's when the media starts getting involved, and that's when they start to pile on, and especially when it reaches an all-time high, that's when the media goes berserk. So the upshot is this. For all those people who are skeptical out there, they say, well, Bitcoin doesn't have a future, or it's just not ready, or this kind of thing. This is all part of the cycle. So I can't say for sure what's going to happen in the next 6 months or anything like that. I do know that the halvening is likely to happen on May 23rd, 2020. So about 6 months before that time, we're likely to see a lot of money go into the cryptocurrency market. Cycles come, cycles go. You can look at the charts where people have plotted out the attitudes of people at different points in a cycle. And you can see disbelief is a key one. And it says on one of these charts, it says, this is a sucker's rally. And that's exactly the kind of comments that I've been seeing in social media. So take that into account. Just some final thoughts. I want to tell you my long-term prediction of what this stuff means for humanity, because I think this technology is actually going to offer something more. Once again, I want to add on to the dream of cryptocurrency, the highest ideal. I bought into Bitcoin a couple of times when it was bubbling. And after the second time, I started to realize, actually, if I want to be smart, what I need to do is buy when nobody else is paying attention. Buy when it's quiet, when there's no hype in the market. Now, that took about 2 or 3 years for me to have those realizations. In traditional markets, The cycles tend to go for about 7 years. So it might have taken me 14 or 21 years to have those kind of realizations, to get enough data to click it over in my mind to come to the right conclusion about when to buy and when to sell. Everyone who gets involved in cryptocurrency is going to get this crash course in bubbles, in mass hysteria, and hype. And they're going to get immunized to it. People are going to start to learn that it's different this time doesn't really mean what they think it means. People are going to know on a personal and deep level what a market cycle is and what hype looks like, what irrational exuberance looks like. Markets will start to smooth out because people won't be as willing to buy into bubbles. And that means people won't be as willing to buy into scams. And that means if you want to gain wealth, you can't just rip people off. You're going to have to give them something of value, something of long-term value, which is going to help humanity. And so in the end, I think the dream of cryptocurrency is that humanity's wealth is going to expand because of this rapid-fire lessons in bubbles. Thank you so much for listening to Cryptonomics. Thanks for pressing like and pressing subscribe, checking out the description, being a crypto bro, connecting with me on all social media. And remember, as always, stay grateful.